Unveiling the Silent Whispers, 5 Subtle Signs of Cognitive Change. Hello everyone, and welcome. Did you know there are often quiet shifts in behavior and thinking that can appear long before a diagnosis of dementia? We often focus on memory loss, but the truth is, there are subtler signs, whispers almost, that can emerge months or even years earlier. These signs are easy to miss, easy to dismiss as just getting older, but they hold valuable clues. In this video, we'll explore 5 of these often overlooked early indicators of cognitive change. By understanding these subtle shifts, we can empower ourselves, our loved ones, and take proactive steps towards a healthier, more supported future. If you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly videos dedicated to helping you navigate the journey of aging with confidence and clarity. Let's begin. Sign 1. Sign 1, the echo of forgetfulness in everyday moments. The echo of forgetfulness in everyday moments. One of the earliest and most easily overlooked signs of cognitive change is a subtle shift in how we handle everyday tasks. It's not about the dramatic forgetting of names or major life events. It's about the quiet slip-ups, the almost imperceptible fumbles in the routines that once felt automatic, ingrained in the muscle memory of our lives. Think of it as a slight echo of forgetfulness reverberating through the ordinary moments of our day. Perhaps you walk into a room and, for a fleeting moment, the purpose of your entry vanishes, leaving you standing bewildered, retracing your mental steps to recapture the lost intention. Or maybe your keys, which always have a designated spot on the hook by the door, now frequently go missing, prompting a frantic search that ends with them tucked away in some illogical place, like the refrigerator or a kitchen drawer. You might miss appointments you were certain you'd diligently written down, only to realize later that they slipped your mind entirely. These moments, while seemingly insignificant on their own, can begin to form a pattern, a delicate tapestry of forgotten intentions and misplaced items. It's not just the act of forgetting itself, but often a disconcerting lack of awareness that the forgetting even happened. This lack of insight can be a key differentiator between normal, age-related forgetfulness and something more. Someone might repeat a story multiple times within a short period, completely oblivious to the repetition, each retelling delivered with the same fresh enthusiasm as the first. They might leave the water running, not out of a momentary distraction, but because the initial intention to turn it off simply faded from their awareness, like a whisper lost in the wind. They might struggle to recall the details of a recent conversation, even though they actively participated in it. Consider the case of Margaret, a vibrant 72-year-old who loved to bake. Her famous apple pie, a recipe passed down through generations, was a source of pride and joy. Her family started noticing subtle inconsistencies in her baking. She began leaving out key ingredients, not once, but several times. At first, they dismissed it as simple oversight, the inevitable consequence of a busy life. But the omissions became more frequent, the pie sometimes lacking the cinnamon that gave it its signature warmth, other times missing the crucial apple filling altogether. Margaret also started asking the same questions repeatedly, often within the same conversation, unaware that she had already received the answers. She'd inquire about a family member's recent trip, only to ask the same questions again minutes later, her face alight with genuine interest each time. These weren't drastic, life-altering changes, but they were consistent, a persistent hum of forgetfulness woven into the fabric of her daily life. They painted a picture of a subtle but significant shift in her cognitive landscape, a whisper of change that hinted at something more profound occurring beneath the surface. These subtle shifts in memory and awareness, often dismissed as mere senior moments, can be crucial early indicators of cognitive decline, whispers that deserve our attention and understanding. Sign 2. Sign 2. The shifting tides of mood and personality. The shifting tides of mood and personality. When we think of cognitive decline, memory often springs to mind. However, changes in mood and personality can often precede, sometimes by a significant margin, the more noticeable memory problems. These shifts aren't simply bad days or the normal fluctuations in mood we all experience. They represent a more fundamental departure from someone's established personality, their usual way of being in the world. Consider, for example, an individual who has always been known for their calm and patient demeanor. They might suddenly become easily irritated, their composure cracking under the weight of minor inconveniences that previously would have rolled off their back like water off a duck's feathers. A spilled cup of coffee, a misplaced set of keys, a traffic jam. These everyday frustrations might now trigger outbursts of anger or frustration that seem out of proportion to the situation. This isn't simply a bad day, it's a shift in their baseline emotional response, a subtle but persistent change in their temperament. Conversely, someone who once thrived in social settings, who enjoyed the lively buzz of gatherings and conversations, might suddenly prefer solitude, finding social interactions overwhelming and draining. The energy required to navigate the complexities of social dynamics might feel too demanding, leading to a withdrawal from the very activities that once brought them joy and connection. They might decline invitations, offer excuses, or simply fade into the background at gatherings, their usual vivacity replaced by a quiet reserve. Apathy, too, can emerge as a subtle but significant shift in personality. This isn't simply a lack of motivation. It's a deeper disinterest in hobbies and activities that once held meaning and purpose. Imagine a woman who loved tending her rose garden, her hands happily immersed in the soil, her face alight with the satisfaction of nurturing life and beauty. She might suddenly lose interest, leaving the roses untended, the garden overgrown with weeds, the vibrant colors fading into a dull, neglected landscape. This isn't necessarily depression, although it can certainly be a symptom of it. It's a quiet fading of enthusiasm, a dimming of the inner spark that once fueled her passion. It's a withdrawal not just from the activity itself, but from the joy and sense of accomplishment it once provided. These changes in mood and personality often reflect underlying stress on the brain's emotional regulation systems. They are not simply character flaws or signs of weakness. They are often early warning signals, subtle whispers from the brain indicating that something is amiss. Just as a fever can be a sign of infection, these shifts in mood and personality can be indicators of underlying cognitive changes. Recognizing these subtle shifts is crucial, as they can provide valuable clues and opportunities for early intervention. By paying attention to these less obvious signs, we can better understand the challenges our loved ones may be facing and offer the support and understanding they need to navigate these changes with dignity and grace. Sign 3. Sign 3. Navigating the Labyrinth of Conversation. Navigating the Labyrinth of Conversation. One of the more subtle, yet often impactful, early signs of cognitive change manifests in the realm of communication, specifically in the ebb and flow of conversations. It's not simply about mishearing or the occasional difficulty recalling a name. It's a more pervasive struggle to keep afloat in the current of spoken words, especially when the conversational waters become choppy with multiple speakers, background noise, or complex topics. This struggle often reveals itself not in dramatic pronouncements of confusion, but in a series of subtle, almost imperceptible shifts in how a person engages in dialogue. Imagine a family dinner a once cherished ritual of shared stories and laughter. Where once a loved one actively participated, contributing anecdotes and witty remarks, they now sit quietly, nodding politely, but their eyes betray a flicker of bewilderment. The rapid-fire exchange of ideas, the overlapping voices, the clinking of silverware, these once familiar sounds now create a confusing cacophony, making it difficult to isolate and process individual threads of conversation. They might smile and nod at inappropriate moments, their responses slightly off-kilter, a subtle disconnect between what is being said and what is being understood. This difficulty isn't limited to bustling social gatherings. Even one-on-one conversations can become challenging. A loved one might frequently ask for things to be repeated, not because of hearing impairment, but because their brain requires more time to process the incoming information. They might interject with comments that seem tangential, their thoughts having drifted onto a different track while the conversation continued on its original course. They may struggle to find the right words, pausing mid-sentence, searching for the elusive term that accurately captures their thoughts, sometimes resorting to vague descriptors like "that thing" or "whatchamacallit." This struggle to articulate thoughts can be frustrating for both the speaker and the listener, creating a subtle barrier to effective communication. Another telltale sign is a decreased ability to follow complex storylines in movies or television shows. Where once they could easily keep track of multiple characters and plot twists, they now find themselves lost in the narrative, asking questions like, "Who is that again?" or "What just happened?" This difficulty isn't about a lack of interest. It stems from a diminished capacity to process and retain information, a subtle erosion of the cognitive scaffolding that allows us to make sense of complex narratives. The frustration and anxiety that accompany these communication challenges can lead to social withdrawal. A loved one might begin to avoid social situations altogether, fearing the embarrassment of not being able to keep up with conversations. This isolation can further exacerbate cognitive decline, creating a vicious cycle of withdrawal and diminished mental engagement. It's crucial to remember that these communication difficulties are not a reflection of diminished intelligence or a lack of effort. They are symptoms of underlying changes in the brain's ability to process information. Recognizing these subtle shifts in communication patterns is essential for providing appropriate support and understanding. Patience, clear and concise communication, and a willingness to adapt to a slower pace of conversation can make a significant difference in helping a loved one navigate the labyrinth of conversation and maintain a sense of connection and belonging. Sign 4. The fading tapestry of interests. A subtle but significant shift in cognitive function can often manifest as a gradual disengagement from hobbies and activities that once held deep meaning and brought immense joy. This isn't simply a matter of slowing down or shifting priorities as we age. It's about a discernible loss of interest, a dimming of the internal spark that once ignited passion and motivated engagement with the world. Imagine a skilled woodworker who spent countless hours in their workshop. The scent of sawdust and varnish, a comforting aroma, the rhythmic tap of the hammer, a soothing melody. They might suddenly find themselves losing interest, the tools gathering dust, the unfinished projects abandoned, the workshop becoming a silent testament to a fading passion. This withdrawal isn't always accompanied by overt sadness or complaint. It can be a quiet, almost imperceptible retreat from the activities that once defined a significant part of their identity. Consider the avid reader, who devoured books with an insatiable appetite, their imagination soaring with every turn of the page. They might find themselves struggling to concentrate, their attention wandering, the words blurring into a meaningless jumble. The once cherished ritual of curling up with a good book, might be replaced by a restless unease, a sense of disconnect from the stories that once captivated them. The bookshelves, once a source of pride and comfort, might become a silent reproach, a reminder of a lost connection to the world of literature. This disengagement can extend beyond intellectual pursuits. The enthusiastic golfer who eagerly anticipated their weekly round on the green might suddenly lose interest, their clubs gathering dust in the garage, the once cherished camaraderie of the game replaced by a sense of apathy. The passionate gardener whose hands were once happily immersed in the soil, nurturing life and beauty, might neglect their beloved plants, the garden becoming overgrown with weeds, a poignant reflection of a fading passion. Even simple everyday pleasures, like cooking elaborate meals or engaging in lively conversations, might lose their appeal, replaced by a sense of indifference, a subtle but pervasive apathy. This withdrawal often happens subtly, without overt expressions of sadness or complaint. The individual might appear content, even cheerful, but the underlying spark, the enthusiasm that once animated their lives, has diminished. They might offer vague explanations for their disengagement, attributing it to fatigue, lack of time, or simply changing interests. However, when the disinterest extends to multiple activities and is accompanied by other subtle cognitive changes, it warrants closer attention. It's crucial to distinguish this pattern from the normal ebb and flow of interests that occur throughout life. We all experience periods of waning enthusiasm for certain activities, and as we age, our priorities naturally shift. However, the fading tapestry of interests we're discussing here is different. It represents a more profound shift, a loss of connection to the activities that once brought joy, purpose, and a sense of identity. It's not about choosing to pursue different interests. It's about losing the internal drive to engage with the world in meaningful ways. This disengagement can be particularly challenging to recognize, as it can be easily mistaken for normal aging, a simple change in preferences, or even depression. However, when coupled with other subtle cognitive changes, such as memory lapses, difficulty with communication, or changes in mood and personality, it becomes a significant red flag, a whisper from the brain, indicating that something deeper may be amiss. Recognizing this pattern is crucial, as it can provide valuable insights into the underlying cognitive changes that may be occurring and pave the way for early intervention, support, and a more informed approach to navigating the complexities of cognitive decline. By understanding the significance of this fading tapestry of interests, we can better support our loved ones and empower them to maintain a sense of purpose, connection, and well-being throughout their lives. Sign 5. Lost in familiar landscapes. Difficulty navigating familiar surroundings can be a disorienting and concerning early sign of cognitive change. This isn't about occasionally forgetting where you parked your car in a crowded parking lot. It's about a more fundamental difficulty with spatial orientation, a subtle erosion of the internal map that guides us through the world. It's about feeling lost in places that were once as familiar as the back of your hand, places that held the comforting embrace of routine and predictability. Imagine someone taking a wrong turn on a route they've driven countless times, the familiar landmark suddenly appearing foreign, the once automatic sequence of turns now a confusing maze. The feeling of disorientation can be profound, a sense of being adrift in a familiar sea, the comforting buoys of recognition replaced by the unsettling uncertainty of the unknown. They might find themselves driving aimlessly, their minds struggling to reconcile the internal map with the external reality, the familiar streets now a bewildering labyrinth. This spatial disorientation can also manifest in more subtle ways. Someone might become disoriented in their own home, momentarily forgetting which room is which, the once automatic navigation through the familiar hallways now requiring conscious effort and concentration. They might wander into the kitchen intending to go to the bedroom, or open the wrong cupboard repeatedly, their mind struggling to connect intention with action. These seemingly minor lapses can be deeply unsettling, creating a sense of unease and vulnerability within the very walls that once provided sanctuary and security. The reliance on external aids for navigation can also be a telltale sign. They may start relying heavily on GPS even for short trips to the grocery store or the local library, routes they once navigated effortlessly from memory. The familiar landmarks, the once comforting cues that guided their journey, now fade into the background, replaced by the disembodied voice of the GPS, a constant reminder of their diminished spatial awareness. This increasing dependence on technology can be both a practical solution and a subtle indicator of a deeper cognitive shift. The fear of getting lost, a very real and understandable anxiety, can lead to social withdrawal and isolation. They might avoid going out altogether, declining invitations to social gatherings, or opting to stay home rather than venturing into the unfamiliar terrain of a new restaurant or a friend's house. This self-imposed confinement can have a detrimental effect on their social connections, their sense of independence, and their overall well-being. The world, once a landscape of familiar pathways and comforting destinations, can shrink to the confines of their home, a self-made prison built on the foundations of fear and disorientation. It's crucial to understand that these navigational challenges are not due to carelessness, a lack of attention, or simply getting old. They reflect underlying changes in the brain's ability to process spatial information, a subtle erosion of the cognitive mechanisms that allow us to navigate the world with confidence and ease. The hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep within the brain, plays a critical role in spatial memory and navigation. Changes in this region, often associated with age-related cognitive decline, can disrupt the intricate neural pathways that underpin our sense of direction and our ability to orient ourselves in space. Recognizing these subtle signs of spatial disorientation is essential for providing appropriate support and understanding. Patience, reassurance, and a willingness to adapt to a slower pace of navigation can make a significant difference in helping a loved one maintain a sense of independence and dignity. Simple strategies, such as labeling rooms and cupboards, providing clear and concise directions, and accompanying them on outings, can help alleviate anxiety and foster a sense of security. By understanding the underlying neurological basis of these navigational challenges, we can move beyond judgment and blame, offering instead the compassion, support, and practical assistance that can empower our loved ones to navigate the world with greater confidence and ease. As we conclude our exploration of these subtle signs, remember that awareness is the first step towards understanding and support. These changes are not simply a part of getting older. They are often whispers from the brain, signaling a need for attention and care. Recognizing these early indicators empowers us to take proactive steps, whether it's seeking medical advice, making adjustments to daily routines, or simply offering a listening ear and a compassionate presence. Early detection opens doors to a world of resources, support networks, and strategies that can help individuals maintain their independence, dignity, and quality of life for as long as possible. Thank you for joining us today. We encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights are valuable and contribute to a community of support and understanding. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support helps us continue creating content that empowers and informs. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on our latest tips for thriving in life after 60 all for free. Supporting this channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing allows us to continue providing this valuable information to you and others who need it. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.